Alright, it's a new day, a new beginning, and I can't wait to get into a new project, especially after. Hey dude, sorry I couldn't be here for the last video. Oh, don't worry about it. Besides, I wish I wasn't there. Okay. Anyway, since you already looked at 1 and 2, I thought you probably want to look at 3, right? What? Yeah, didn't you tell me you really like this game? Oh my god, can you get down from the wall, please? Jesus Christ. How are you making those sounds? Whoa, oh, hey, put down the knife. Oh, what the hell is wrong with you? What the f—
Get that thing away from me! You know what happened last time, I won't go through that again!
Whoa, dude, you gotta believe me. This one is actually good. Look, I'm gonna just throw it at you, and I promise you, it's not gonna hurt you, and you can just try for a while, okay?
Okay. I'll try just for a little bit.
152 hours later. That was so hot. Here we are. It's finally here. The third and final one. It's Drunk Sauce the finale to a widely beloved series, a critical and financial success, being the fastest selling title in Bandai Namco's history, and to me this is a very important game. I've mentioned this in a previous video, but Dark Souls 3 was the first Souls-like game I've ever played. It's the game that made me appreciate challenge and difficulty in video games and introduced me to so many other amazing titles. So I might be a little biased, and I'm saying this because I want to preface that I don't want this video to be just me yapping about Dark Souls 3 while looking back at 1 and 2 being like, yeah, you see this, you failures, you'll never be even half as good as this. So I'll try as best as possible to keep my head in the mind of a 2016 boy who just played Dark Souls 2. Plus, I already talked at length about the first 2 games, so me continuing to slander them would be just like beating a dead crystal lizard. And since there's really nothing else for me to say here, let's conclude this intro and take a look at Dark Souls 3. So let's boot this bitch up. I hate this thing. That's incredible. Oh my god. Oh my. Ah! Whoa. Without even pressing a single button, the game immediately slaps you with this absolute banger. I can't wait to see what's gonna happen next. Continue. Have I played this on this PlayStation before? Oh, wait a minute, I almost forgot! Which is something that my brain usually does when it's trying to protect itself. This was the first game that I streamed on Twitch back in like 2021. Oh, ugly. So this must be the character I played with. What was his name again? Oinky Spoinky? No wonder people wouldn't watch my streams. The story this time starts directly from the end of the first game, right after we linked the fire and became the second Lord of Cinder. Well, not directly from that, we did skip the part where they partied for 15 crazy thousand years or so.
Yes, indeed.
And what we're seeing is the result of the fire being linked many times, which caused time and space to become convoluted. But now the first flame needs to be linked for the millionth time. Was that an arrow of the fire is refusing to link the flame? That is unprecedented! Wait, how did this not happen before? Did no one ever question what they were doing? How did no one ever get sick and tired of continuously sweeping ash off their balcony? Never clean! In times of need such as this, the bell tolls, unearthing the old Lords of Cinder from their graves. Wake up, ladies! Little snowflake over there didn't want to vaporize himself, so now you gotta do it again! Come on! And here they are. Aldrich, the emo slug, the club of the murderous dancers who take over the abyss and kill each other. Oh boy, what style. Cazzo che stile, ragazzi! And the anti-social lord of the profane capital, Worm, the very big dude.
Who stopped my nap?
And then none of them wanted to do it, so they all went and waddled off to whatever. And now you useless Ash. Yeah, I'm talking about you greasy piece of shit. You who couldn't even light a match for how weak and worthless you are.
Christmas is ruined, and it's your fault!
You're going to bring their asses back here to link that flame for a trillionth time. But you'll need a name first. Let's see. You're a mercenary, you look like a tacky, and you're very feminine. What the hell? Misogyny. Aha! I got it. You shall be named Oinky Sploinky. Aw shit. Here we go again. We wake up in the Cemetery of Ash, the tutorial area of this game, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Basic enemies and tutorial messages. Like this one. Turn back? Why would I ever? Do you take me for some kind of puss? I brave through the stinky depths of Blighttown, the stinky depths of Lost Isles, the stinky depths of the Black Gulch, and the stinky depths of Sholfa. Nothing can stop me!
Yo, I heard you were talking shit. Something about beating crystal lizards?
No!
I wanna beat the Dark Soul out of you, boy.
No! One thing that is immediately noticeable about this game is how much faster your character is. The movement is much more fluid, which in turn makes the control feel way more responsive. And I'm pretty sure all this was in good part thanks to Bloodborne, a much faster paced game which released just a year prior and was made on the same engine. Going from Dark Souls 1 and 2 to Bloodborne to Dark Souls 3 is like going to the gym, getting buff, then going to the Christmas feast and getting just the belly back. Which means I'm finally looking at a Dark Souls game that doesn't feel like I'm watching a piece of cheese run a marathon. And before continuing, the game will test our skills by making us fight Udex Gundyr. And if you can't get past this guy, then you won't get far in this game, kid. This boss is an exceptional way to start off. My main issue with the bosses from the first two games was their simplicity, with them having mostly simple movesets, something that I cannot say for this game, with the majority of boss battles being much more complex than most of the ones we've seen so far. Emphasis on the most, because this game still has its fair share of moldy crap. Set variety is enhanced even further by the fact that every boss has a second phase. In the first two games, the only boss who had a true fleshed out second phase were Ornstein and Smough, and while the real innovator here is once again Bloodborne, I do think that Dark Souls 3 used this feature way better. And coming back to Gundyr itself, to me he's one of the best first bosses ever. Challenging while not being overwhelming for beginners, and simple while not being a total pushover for more experienced players. Overall, Gundyr manages to give a great welcome to the game, showing some great improvements within just the first boss fight. Also, one more minute thing I want to mention, you can now quickly dual wield your left equipment, which means you can do this. Nice. Right after, we can enter Firelink Shrine. And I'm gonna prove that this is not another video of me shitting on the first two games, because I have a critique. Yes, you heard it here first, folks, so you can like something and say bad things about it. Such an innovator. Nobody has ever done that. More precisely is the fact that this hub, unlike Dark Souls 1's Firelink and Dark Souls 2's Majula, is not physically connected to other areas, making it feel less like it's the center of your adventure. So yeah, this is the first and not last low point of this game. I mean, why would I even pretend that this game is perfect? I am a big believer that nothing is perfect and everything has some sort of flaw. I take back everything I said, that this is God's gift to humanity and this is the representation of Lucifer's betrayal. Burn in hell! Other than my wife, she just doesn't know it yet. The shrine initially houses depression, a bell pepper, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Well, a newcomer, I see.
But as always, this will become the gathering spot for all the weirdos that live around these parts. And now, without further ado, let's officially begin this journey by traveling to the High Wall of Lothric. I can immediately and without doubt say that for a pro gamer like me, this area is going to be a cake walk. Oh lord, what are these dehydrated NBA players doing here? Isn't this place supposed to be filled with those dried wimps? Let me check something. My notes say that around here there's something called a bus of men? Oh god, what kind of name is that? What's it gonna be? Where's this freak of nature? Is that the guy? Holy Gwyn! Is that what acne does to your face? I knew teenagers were dangerous. Okay, surely that is the most terrifying thing in this place.
Surprise!
So you're telling me these nights are actually scarier than the Lovecraftian horrors I just witnessed? Great! The guys before, rookies. No technique, easy to maneuver around. These guys, on the other hand, are trained and ready to kill. And they all seem to be defending these two rooms. One of them has this whole lady in it who gives us the key to continue, and you know, I could do it early. Nah, I'm not strong enough yet. But I do hate old people. The second room is the intended way to go. For inside we get a cutscene. And you know you'll get some good stuff when you see one of those. Surely enough, approaching the door will make Vort of the Boreal Valley reveal himself. A simple boss, you know the ones. One of those that is so early into the game and so easy to reach that you fight him so many times that it becomes trivial. But there is one thing that makes this boss iconic. And it's the fact that it turns into a rampaging truck in phase 2. I actually already hinted at the iconic part of this boss in the Dark Souls video. Smo, Sif, and of course, Gwyn, who has one of the most iconic soundtracks of all time, but definitely not the most memed. Yes, indeed! It's the music of this and many other bosses. If there's one thing in this game that I have to do to contain myself from absolutely blowing my lungs out, it's the music. To me, this is one of the best video game soundtracks ever. But if I do blow my lungs out here, I won't have anything to say in the review part, so I'll just contain the fanboy demons for now. Behind the boss, you can see that he was guarding a cliff. It's a great viewpoint, I'll give you that, but how am I supposed to get down there? Maybe I have to do this? Wait, what are you doing here? The Anne Orlando Taxi Agency never dies! Ugh, here we are in the Undead Settlement. And after the prior area, excuse me for a second as I pre-pissed my pants to prepare myself for the horrors that await ahead. Puppies! More puppies! Tortoise! Oh god, it's moving. Y'all, meet Yoel, a guy that looks like a pile of rats in a robe. But don't let looks fool ya, because he is one rodent pile you'll want to interact with anytime you can. For he gives you 3 levels. Yes, in this economy. The only downside is that you'll turn into a dried tomato and that you'll need to die a lot, which I'm actually very good at. Okay, I'm done for now. Stay safe, Bank of Free Power. Back on track, the Undead Settlement is not much more than its name lets out. They certainly know how to have fun. My favorite part were the pillow fights. And they even have piñatas. Loretta's bone. Oh wait, now that I think about it, I did save a guy in Lothric that was talking about some old stuff in the Undead Settlement. Maybe he's a paleontologist or something. Hey dude, do you know what animal this bone is?
Heavens. She was already dead.
She? Oh, the old thing you wanted me to find was an old lady. Oh, oh gee. Well, this is awkward. I'll leave you alone for a while. God, and I was so sure of it. Wait a second. He recognized immediately it was the bones of an old lady. He must be an anthropologist or something! Dude, I have different questions now. Are you crying? Oh, come on, you discovered she died a whole 2 minutes ago. Get over it already. All the people I met so far are either weird, dead, or both. Can an undead freak like me ever find a real friend in this convoluted world? Oh my god, onion friend! Well, that was fast. Until we meet again, friend. After all that, in the back of the settlement, we find our next opponent. The Curse-Rotted Great Tree. Curse-Rotted Great... Wood? It happened again? I kid you not, until I started scripting, I was 105% sure it was Greatwood. And this time it's not even some hidden optional boss in a DLC. It's the 3rd boss of the game. At least it's not one of the good ones, but none other than our very first stinker, whose battle can be summarized with one clip. Yeah, no. The first idea was to put a bunch of pimple popping video on top, but after the third clip I started to feel sick in my stomach. Also, I can just do this. Some people willingly watch stuff like that. At the very least, the pain in my stomach was worth something, because the boss will drop an item which will let us use boss souls to get... boss weapon! Now, I do know that boss weapons have been a thing since way before this game, and I do think that the way that you obtain them in Dark Souls 1 is way more interesting. But when it comes to a more casual playthrough, Dark Souls 3 is the one where they're the easiest to get, without having to plan 3 years in advance on how to use that very expensive torch. Next up is the Road of Sacrifices. This area is structured in a way that has always made me think that it was actually 2 areas, with the first one competing in a category for best corridor with Windlands Arena. This is full of these Corbett dudes, which are completely normal, especially compared to the pregnant barfing dog. And after you clean yourself of the purple goo and the placenta, you get to the second half, the Crucifixion Woods, which has a whole lot of stuff in it. The first one is a double friend, Andre and Horus. Andre is just a happy-go-lucky adventurer that definitely doesn't have a tragic backstory, while Horus is actually a giant muscle mommy directly out of my dreams. And for the rest of the area, have any of you guys seen Auction Hunters? It was about these 2 guys who go around auctions to buy containers with a bunch of crazy stuff inside. And entering this area feels like I've opened one of those. There's giant crabs, poison mushroom bugs, black knights, zombie Jesus, and Bloodborne again. Away! Away! Then the way ahead splits in 2. Ooh, choices. One way goes to church, which I would rather skip, while the other goes through a poisonous swamp. On second thought, give me the holy water. I need to pray. But in order for a chance at salvation, we first need to slay a heretic, the Crystal Sage. Please, please let this not be a trend. This is yet another stinker. But not always. I've heard both people that breezed through this part and others whose experience was the equivalent of a lobotomy. And that is especially true during his second phase, where the moveset doesn't change, but instead he pulls a Naruto move out of his big ass hat and spawns multiple clones of him who can attack you. And depending on, I don't know, the distance of the moon from the sun at that moment, the RNG can either be totally cool with you or decide that you won't have fun for the rest of the week. It's kind of like when you're doing nothing stressful but your body decides that you have to be uncomfortable with the idea of existing. The Crystal Sage is an anxiety disorder. Also, unlike the previous stinker, this boss doesn't even give you anything remotely useful, unless you're really into headaches. You know what? It's over now, let's leave it behind us and continue on our journey. Oh, there's immediately another bonfire, even though there was another like 20 meters away, but it's probably just for the beginning of the area. The next one is probably gonna be further away. Okay, there was an almost bonfire, so I'll let it pass. The next one is definitely much farther in. Are you for real? Also, isn't there something I'm forgetting? Oh yeah, how could I forget about the teleporting dogs? That's like the first thing I ever think about when I think of Dark Souls. But these things are not even half as bad as the one in Dark Souls 1. Ah! You said you weren't gonna shit on the first 2 games. At least once I had to. You made a promise. Now die! Pew! Ah! Wait, he was me, and I am me, and me died. Ah, crap. Ah! Ah! That was weird. Wait, where am I? What is this drunk Santa Claus doing here? Hey! Christmas has been over for a month! You have to go back to your wife, you old fart! By the way, what day is it? It's Sunday! It's the day of the Lord! And I coincidentally arrived at the Cathedral of the Deep. Deep like my faith! It's been so long. Oh, hey friend!
You haven't been to Mass in a while.
In my defense, I was kind of dead the past few months, so...
No excuses. The Pontiff will hear about this.
Okay, threats aside, I know that God is with me, because He has given me the power to withstand all the blows aimed at stopping my quest. The power of Door! And now we can finally enter the house of God. Wait a minute. Did I put the wrong disc in? Why am I in the depths? Oh, now I get it. I know this one. Sissy Muffins and the bees in the Jäger. Anyways, giants and sentient shit piles are scary and all, but once again it's the more human-like enemies that you should fear. For these are soldiers of God sent by him himself to test my faith. And I failed him. You know, maybe I'm not as attuned to God as I once thought. Maybe I need some guidance. And the only ones who can provide it are the crustiest people that I know. Priests. And that's not me insulting them for free. I mean, look at them. It's already a miracle they're not falling apart like they're Lego. These are the Deacons of the Deep, the most disposable boss in the game, since this battle can be cool once, but as soon as you figure out the gimmick, it becomes very trivial. Essentially, only one of the Deacons at a time will affect the boss's health bar, and which one it is will be decided by this demonic fairy dust, very pagan and very blasphemous. Then, once at half health, a wheel will be spun to decide which one of the popes of the past you shall fight. And mine fell on to Pope John XII, the guy whose fame derives from his own adultery-caused defenestration.
Oh my god! Oh jeez, oh my god!
Which means I don't even need to feel bad as I cut him into julienne strips. And that was the story of how I became the Pope. Finally I can get out of there, that place smelled like balls. A familiar voice. Sigurd? Long time no see, friend. Oh god, why are you naked? What's that? Some bald guy stole all your gear, forced you inside this well, and you probably find him around the tower behind Firling Shrine? Got it, I'm into it. Alright, we need a key, it's gonna be 20,000 soul. You photosynthesizing bitch. Then we go up and up and up, and we get a tumbleweed. Alright, better go back down and then... Patches! You little son of a... I'll get you next time, Pache! And you know what? I don't even care that you locked me in here, because I know the way out. I just gotta roll off this edge and drop on this After that, I just need to gut Mr. Muscle, get the onion armor back, and continue on. But maybe in that moment, God's grace was truly inside me, for I spared the guy and just bought the armor off of him. And that is leaving a really bad aftertaste in my mouth, so... it's time for revenge. Got the onion armor and got it back to Onion Friend. And speaking of onions... Farron f***ing keep. This game's inevitable poison swamp that Miyazaki seems to love so much. But at least I've tortured myself enough times to know exactly where I have to go. Our objective is to navigate this sewage waste of a forest to find and turn out 3 beacons. You just have to be careful with some fan service, these goddamn goat wendigos, and for God's sake, the basilisks are back! I didn't even acknowledge them in the previous video, but they're also in Dark Souls 2. So pray tell, FromSoft, why is this the enemy that needed to be in every single game? Also, you gotta be careful about the air, which is kinda making me lightheaded. Oh my god, I think I'm gonna be sick. I need to get to higher grounds ASAP. Whew, much better. Oh, a big puppy! And a covenant too! Oh, what a good boy, you got a covenant all by yourself. I wonder what will happen if I join. Oh no, I'm a furry! Coming back to a minute ago, I mentioned fan service, or at least that's what some people call it. The Dark Raids are just one of many references to show what has happened in the hundreds, if not thousands of year gap between the first and the third game. And I decided to talk about this now, because right after turning to an anthro dog, we'll get to fight something familiar. A stray demon. A major representative of the first game that now became even crustier than those pesky priests. I feel like seeing this creature was once an important test for the chosen undead being left to the side in this decaying state is one of the many great ways to show the ruinous state of this world, and this is far from the last one of these. Okay, now that I feel better, we can continue on our journey, and the next boss we'll be fighting is a majorly important one. So just to be safe, I'll go grab a couple of more of those sweet free levels. Oh no! My free levels! Did you do this? Wait, you didn't know this would happen? What do you mean? Didn't he send you one of these memes? Memes? Hold on a sec. Oh, now that is funny. But you know what? I don't even need those extra levels because I am the greatest video gamer of all time. We've already been introduced to them before, right at the beginning of the game. They're the first of the fleeing Lords of Cinder. the Abyss Watchers. After a slew of bosses that went from okay to I want to spoon my eyes out, we finally get a boss that is actually worth dying 20 times against. When we find them, the Legion has been infected by the Abyss, and they've been stuck here continuously killing each other, which they can't do because of the whole being undead thing. How the hell did they forget? So they're essentially here stabbing sacks of potatoes and expecting something to happen. Also, imagine the smell in this place. It'd be like a mix of an old people's home and your local government. Wait, isn't that the same thing? The first phase is kinda boring. If you just fight this dude, you can parry, sometimes he gently pokes you with a knife and... Hey, what the hell is this? Where did you come from? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to call your face boring, chill! Oh no, it's triple trouble! Wait a second, they're fighting each other? I'm sorry, did I call this boring? I take it all back, this is just insane. And I'm about to make it worse. It's quadruple trouble time, baby! Alright, what you got next? Damn, I'm about to get cooked, aren't I? So finally we got to a genuinely amazing fight. It could have easily been yet another average humanoid fight like the ones against every other NPC, but the chaotic phase 1 and magnificent phase 2 make it an incredible fight to behold, and the first real challenge of the game. And in short, I would dare call this boss the worst of the best. And if this is the bottom line for top tier bosses, you better believe that we're gonna see some juicy stuff later. And by later, I mean much later. Because we have 2 whole wet farts to go through, so let's just keep our expectations low for now. For extremely good reasons, I'm sure. The Abyss Watchers Arena is just beside the entrance of the Catacombs of Carthus. I guess this world really is convoluted. Also, we went from a Tomb of the Giants where you couldn't even see your toes for how dark it was, to this place. The most well-lit catacomb in history. It looks like I turned on my mom's phone. In short, I would summarize this area as a dumbed-down version of the Dark Souls 1 Catacombs. For the rest of the area, I could just show random clips while blasting Megalovania. Or do this. And no crypt is complete without its skeleton lord. Nothing here, huh? Hello? Whoa, that's a sick looking glass. Oh, oh my god! Oh, come on! I just got rid of the swamp fumes. Did I die? God? Is this hell? What is this? Great Lord Walnir. More like Little Man Weakrist. Well, this surely is a battle. There's even a long square sausage to show us how much of a boss this is. So yeah, this one-of-a-kind animated 3D model can be absolutely deleted by just removing his very expensive friendship bracelets. You just have to be careful of the fumes. Oh my god! Ari, can't do this! You don't even have a rectum! Note to self, let's think before touching things. Before we leave, let's see if I missed anything. Oh, Henry friend!
Have you seen Horace anywhere?
Horace? Now that I think about it, that's a particular name for a woman.
Oh, Horace, where have you run off to?
I'll go look for her. Her? You know Horace is a man. Wait for me, buff woman! Oh no. He's the Lulu. Plus, they're right there. How hard can it be?
2 seconds later.
This was the single worst decision of my life. Smoldering Lake and Demon Ruin suck. It feels like the Road of Sacrifices with the amount of random stuff in them, but with the screw you meter up to 1,000,000. There's a giant triple ballista shooting you because yes. A titanic sandworm that shoots lightning because yes. And some of the most annoying enemies in the game. Not because yes, but because I hate you. Also, what are these things even called? Oh god. Even the intended way to progress through the area is stupid. Not even. It's straight up pointless. You're supposed to make the ballista destroy this floor, go through the demon ruins, and then reach the area behind the worm. But there's nothing stopping you from just going around the worm, lay down, and let the game play itself. At the very least, I can applaud the accomplishment on not making the worst area of the game be the poison swamp. Good job. It takes a lot of effort to make that awful of an area. But lucky for us, the dung pile has a little strawberry on top. Mind you, it's not really the best. It's like one of those mushy, flavorless strawberry that you find at the bottom. But it's still a strawberry? Everybody meet the old Demon King, a battle that gameplay-wise is very mediocre, but that very much makes up for it in presentation. First of all, both the arena and the area before it are full of signs of the downfall of the demon civilization. From items, locations, and corpses, this entire place screams of a cruel time has been to what is essentially the remains of Lost Island, giving us an amazing example of the show-don't-tell kind of storytelling that FromSoft is absolutely amazing at. Which is also shown in the boss arena, where there are two huge mounds of stray and Capra demon corpses. On the side you can even spot the body of a centipede demon. Then the boss himself shows his desperation once at low health, where he will unleash all of his remaining energy into a single final blow, which will leave him unable to continue the fight, letting us finish him once and for all along my suffering. But before we continue, let's meet back with our friend. Hey there! Oh, hello. Did you find Horus? Why hello there, big lady. What do you mean I'm the Lulu? Wait, you're a guy? I'm panicking. No witnesses! No, I didn't see him. Bye. We did have to navigate through a couple of shit stains, but now we get to the really juicy stuff. From frying down in hell to becoming an ice cream, everyone prepare your eyes for one of the unironically most beautiful sights ever given by a video game. Ariandel of the Boreal Valley, with a first shot that is worth framing. To enter, we just have to go through this little bridge here and be very exposed and vulnerable. Haha! You stupid idiot! You thought you were gonna ambush me. Well, I'll have you know, I've played this game one too many times. Ahya! The first thing that I feel while looking at Ariandel is that it's giving arts. Like this incredible piece. An Outrider knight wearing a beautifully made paper mache armor, which comes from men and women. So ladies, come to Ariandel to get the latest of our booty-chilling fashion. And if you come with your partner and get matching outfits, you'll get the frostbite treatment for free. And believe me, I can tell for experience, you'll need it. I can't feel. And I don't mean my legs, I can't feel anything, help! Admittedly, the first impression of the area doesn't really translate when you explore it. And don't get me wrong, I don't think it's bad, but I would love for something with a little more pizzazz, you know? You have this huge looking city, you can't even explore half of it.
Everything the moonlight touches is yours to explore, Ashen One. But don't go there. Or there. Or even there. We didn't actually make that.
At least the locals have good taste. My vision is not wide enough to appreciate this. And you know what? We haven't been to church in a whole 10 minutes. Let's go repent, sinner. Hello? Is anybody here? Jesus. I mean, Gwyn.
You haven't been to church one too many times.
Oh, okay, I already told your lackey I wasn't really alive the past few months, so I couldn't really come to
your head shall be taken as payment.
Oh shit! Pontiff Sullivan, the Pope we all want, but not the one we deserve. This is my absolute favorite boss in the game, and let me tell you why. First of all, the presentation. Well, grab me by the throat and call me Sally, because this takes every bit of my breath away. You enter this absolutely gigantic cathedral and get greeted by this ominous music, and he's just there, waiting for you to approach. And as soon as you do, you know it's gonna get real. He's immediately telling you he's not your run-of-the-mill pastor. He's a war cleric. Father Sullivan, I think I just soiled my pants. There's no time for pooping, brother. This is war! Ah! Overall, the battle is fast, chaotic, and panic-inducing. But you can make it easier with parries, of which I'm a pro at. Around 20% of the time. Ha! Oh my god. Is that AlexBadConnection? The guy who can parry one every 5 hits? Yeah, he's not that attractive most of the time, but those 20%, he's so dreamy. Oh shit. shit. Even lore-wise, this guy's important. He is most likely the one who convinced the current heir to the flame to not sacrifice himself, which was the catalyst for the return of the other lords, and in turn our recall. Meaning that Sullivan is most likely the reason why all of this is happening. And his mom is a tree! Alright, Pontiff, it's time for your power-up. What have you got, old man? Damn. I'm not just getting cooked here. I'm about to get cooked, fried, deep fried, frosted, defrosted, reheated, cut up, munched up, digested and defecated, aren't I? In short, Sullivan's is a thoroughly beautiful boss fight and, once again, my favorite. And now let's just continue. Huh. This is familiar. Where have I seen this before? Is that a corkscrew tower? Convoluted. Like, do you see what I see? There has to have been a Dark Souls 1 fan that saw Anor freaking Londo and wet his pants so bad that his change of pants needed to be changed. Also, I don't know why, but going up these stairs, I feel a sense of uneasiness, like thousands of souls are screaming, please, oh please, why aren't you dropping the thing that I need? I'm still 25 years away from that stupid spell that I'm not even gonna use! Maybe the boss is really hard. Yura, do you give free levels like y'all did?
Good tidings. Thy spouse is ready.
That's not what I asked, but I just learned that getting married is easier than I expected. Where's my spouse now? Oh. Oh. You know what though? This is an ingenious way to make an unforgettable marriage. I gotta take notes. Somehow they made Anor Londo even smaller than before. The feeling of being able to venture into such an iconic area once again is great and all, but do something with it. The only thing I got from this place is that Miyazaki is not much of a kink-shamer. Okay, let's see what monstrosities we're gonna fight today. Oh my god! Oh my... Guys, I really didn't want to see this. Couldn't you have put like a do not disturb sign or something? That goth slime is Aldrich the Devourer of Gods, and we caught him right in the middle of boring Gwendolyn of Dark Souls 1 fame. This fight can actually be kind of nostalgic for any fan of the first game. The arena is the same one where you fight Ornstein and Smoke, and the accompanying music is a more intense version of the Moonlight Butterflies, and since he is the Devourer of Gods, Aldrich shows some appreciation to the Old Lords other than eating their ass. His weapon is very similar to Nito's, and in phase 2 he is able to use a move that summons a scythe very similar to Priscilla's. Difficulty wise, this fight goes above average, mostly due to Aldrich's ability to overwhelm me with attacks, but overall is not too tough. And in conclusion, this boss manages to go up in the ranking thanks to the many references and amazing visuals. And with that, a single lord is left. And to be honest, I have no clue how he got where he is. Because to go to that place, you have to go through the Ariandel dungeon, and trying to fit a giant through there is like trying to flush an elephant down a toilet. Which is an ironic comparison. Just for a minute, let's talk about Ariandel's dirty basement, shall we? This area is absolutely dreadful, and it can easily rival the smoldering turd for the title of worst area. Compared to these two, Faron Keep feels like a Garden of Eden, and all this hatred can be traced back to one thing. The Jailers. Easily the worst enemy in the series, and it's all for one reason. Health atrophy. By just looking at you, the Jailers have the ability to lower your maximum health, plus if you stand close to them you'll get slowed down, which will make you easy pickings for their grab attack. So sorry to everyone that likes this place, I didn't want to be the one to say this, but you don't exist. What do you mean? Huh? A familiar sound. Let me just grab my detector. Anyway, let's just move on to the profane capital, which is one heck of a place. Other than the boss, the only things you can do is fight the giant head poop babies and go back to the Ariandel dungeon. At least the mental trauma is worth the fact we can get the master key and there are no jailers. Now we just have to free our friend, who as thanks gives us 1/2 of the 10 commandments. And then there's nothing else left to do but fight the boss, Yorm the Giant. Onion friend? Wait, I didn't summon him. Why is he here? Wait, he's about to say something. You said it, brother! Let's beat this longer than average worm together! Rah! Yorms is a good-looking fight. To fight him, you're supposed to use a weapon that you find in the arena itself. That is actually a reference to Demon Souls. So since this is a gimmick fight, it doesn't have much when it comes to difficulty. But the spectacle provided by the music, along one of the best endings to a character quest, manages to raise this battle a couple of notches. And with that, all the fleeing Lords of Cinders have been defeated. Oh, wait a second, I have to go check on Onion Guy. Friend, that was an outstanding battle. Oh, he's sleeping. Well, I'll leave him to it. He deserves it. And now that I'm at it, I think I might as well also go take a nap. How does this saying go? Oh yeah, fuck my life. Whoa. Am I back in Lothric?
Help me! She made me fall and I can't get up! It just appeared on the ceiling of the school and I don't understand what is happening. I was like, sweet Jesus or sweet Queen or whoever the hell is it that we worship, and it was cold and then it was hot and then why are you slowly backing up? Where are you going?
I'm going to check if I closed my car?
What's a car? No, please come back! Come back here and help me, you son of a bitch!
On October 2016, FromSoft released Dark Souls 3's first expansion, The Ashes of Ariandel, where we'll explore a snowy painted world, an obvious recall to the one in Super Mario 64. And we already met the entrance to this world, good old jolly Santa DUI. This is Gale, and we find him while he's face down ass up. He tells us about a lady and asks us to show her flame, which I think means he wants us to teach her how to commit arson. He then shows us a dirty piece of toilet paper.
Go on, touch it.
Okay, what could possibly go wrong? Oh, no, not again! God damn! What's that? What's that? There's buzzing in the air. What's that? There's Vikings throwing spears. What's that? There's dogs with rabies moving trees that throwing embers at me. Oh my god, I am on fire! Welcome to the painted world of Ariamis, the best place to be if you love dogs. Compared to the original one, Dark Souls 3 gives us a much larger version of the painted world, starting from this snowy wildland, and wild is the right adjective here. After that, we reach a little church with an edgy looking guy at the entrance called Sir Vinegar, and inside we find 2 feet and nothing else. Wait a second, why did we come here again? Oh yes, torching! We need to find Gale's friend and show her the joys of being a pyromaniac. Maybe someone in the settlement saw her? Christ, what a warm welcome. Hopefully people inside are normal. Stranger danger. Stranger danger! The Corvian settlement would be a nice calm place if it wasn't for these skinny plucked maniacs who love to jump at you at any occasion. At least the other inhabitants are not coming for my throat, they're just extremely traumatized.
You must be the other Ash, I suppose.
I am Ash. Catch him. Well, come on! In the back of the settlement, someone doesn't really like that I'm making progress, and that is Mr. Vinegar, who pops out of the ground like the edgy mole he is. Well, joke's on him, I love vinegar. Anyway, upstairs we find our future pyromancer and she sniffs us.
I feel the scent of ash upon thee.
Well, okay, I'm gonna go out, but the door is locked. How would I ever get out? Oh, that was an amazing puzzle. What am I even playing, Professor Layton? After a quick walk in the woods, we enter a Twitch streamer's kitchen, where we can activate a mechanism that will unlock the basement of the church.
Oh no, what are we gonna find in there?
Oh, would you look at that? It's Ariamis himself. Dude, are you the boss? Dude, are you listening to me? Dude. I asked you politely to get off my property. And your stubborn ash didn't listen. So I hope you're ready for the hash whooping that's about to happen. Ha! Don't threaten me with a good time. I mean, Sister Frida is a boss that needs very little introduction. The battle starts as a duel, just you, her, and the top half of your body detached from the rest of it. The swiftness and elegance of her moveset here is beautifully accompanied by the relaxing yet chilling soundtrack. Already an amazing start. Once you defeat her, Ariandel sees that Frida is dead and takes it with the utmost composure. Alright, didn't need to overreact. Oh, Frida's back! Wonderful! Here begins phase 2, and Father Ariandel has joined the brawl, but most of the time this phase is going to be the easier one. While Frida can still be dangerous, she's way less aggressive and will keep away while sending waves of ice towards you unless you happen to be in close proximity to her. She's essentially like a cat that attacks you for daring to go up the stairs. Also, you don't need to defeat both of them because they have a shared health bar, and with Ariandel's size and the slower moveset, you can just stay behind him and chip away at their health. But even in all of this, you still need to be aware of what Frida is doing, because she can cast a healing spell that can recover a great amount of their health. But overall, this phase is not that much of a hassle. Oh, would you look at that? The second half of the Ten Commandments. Oh yeah, I almost forgot that it's a 3-phase fight. It was probably my brain blurring out the traumatic memories. Black Flame Frida is a gargantuan step up in difficulty from phase 1. She's much more aggressive, employs many more AoE attacks, has much longer combos and can use telepathy. And even though the arena is literally 3 times the size of phase 1, you can be sure she will be right by your side the whole time. In conclusion, I'd say Frida is easily the hardest boss in the game, and in my opinion, in the entire trilogy. And it's a battle that is both challenging and just plain amazing to experience. Ah, my student!
I can hear the fire crackle.
That's right, whenever you want, just go downstairs to see some real fire for yourself.
I will finish the painting of a cold, dark, and very gentle place.
No, it needs to be hot, bright, and very well cooked. Did I teach you nothing? With that, the DLC is over, and I know that I left this place better than the way I found it. Hell yeah! Screw you, Bridge! Frida did it! Oh wait, you can use this as a ladder. Maybe I'll find another amazing boss down there. If I think of previous DLCs, those managed to bring some of the best bosses in their respective games, so my hopes are kinda up for this. Then again, they also managed to bring some of the worst things known to humanity, so my hopes are kinda down for this. And I was right to be wary, because the boss battle that awaits us is a stupid NPC. The champion Grave Tender is literally just a living coat hanger with a shield and a tiny sword, and once you beat him enough, his dog shows up. The Grave Tender's Great Wolf. Way too many g. It's a simple, average fight who could have used a little bit more love, but hey, what can you expect from a fight that's only here to unlock a multiplayer feature? On the other hand, those violin players absolutely did not need to go this hard. You all deserve a nice pay and a nice smooch on the forehead. And with that, we finished the DLC. Now, where was I? Seems like I'm forgetting something. Well, if I forgot, it surely wasn't important.
Help me!
Did you notice? I had no idea what to call this part. Back to Old, and she's kinda not alive. But that's okay, because she fulfilled her purpose. To give us a bowl. Imagine being in a world where every character the protagonist has to interact with is like a legion of abyss hunters, a giant conqueror, a devourer of gods. And then you're the one who gives the access key to the most inconvenient escalator of all time and a dish. But we're not here to pity some dead pensioner. We are here to witness peak, and that is the Dancer of the Boreal Valley. Even when compared to most bosses in the series, her fight is incredibly interesting. A lot of the time, bosses fight with a set pace that make it possible to go on a rhythm of dodging and attacking, but with her it's a different story. Hers are some of the slowest attacks in the game, and yet they have a very high chance of catching you after rolling if you do so too early or in the wrong direction. At the same time, some of her attacks are much faster, and all this makes it so that you're always on your toes for her next attack. And still, she is overall the least aggressive boss in the game, and on many occasions you'll just be behind there waiting for her to attack, which gives you a great chance to stare at her humongous swords. Yes, swords. With an S, because in phase 2 she pulls a second one out of the ground and becomes a Beyblade, showing us who really parted the Red Sea. Simply an amazing way to kick off the second half. And before continuing, let's go through an optional area, the Consumed King's Garden. Hello? What's going on? Oh, there was a blackout? And I lost the footage for this area, the boss, and the area after? Fun! But also, it could have happened in a worse moment, because this area... And also... You could even say... And the boss too! What can you say about a skinny salamander that holds an invisible baby and turns into an anorexic truck in phase 2? That's why we'll just skip to the Emo Cemetery of Ash. Finding this area for the first time is incredible. Seeing a dark parallel to an area that is seemingly disconnected to the rest of the world raises a lot of questions. But instead of throwing answers, the game decides to throw hands, those of Champion Gundyr. Phase 1 is exactly like Iudex Gundyr, but then phase 2 starts and... the steroids kick in. He becomes much more aggressive and he literally starts to manhandle you. Other than that, this boss is the best way they reused the boss so far, which is not much of a compliment considering the cheap recolored ball we saw before. With that, we gain access to the untended shrine with the untended pepper and an untended hammer, where we can find a couple of untendedly delicious untended blueberries. Would you like some, Miss Farkeeper?
Ashen One, are these eyes?
Back on track to Lothric Castle and their oversized chameleons with a... what is this? A 2012 Nickelodeon cartoon? What's this game's obsession with gross? Also, if you kill one, the other gets an acute case of depression and insta-dies. But I can't leave yet. The disease must have spread to the other inhabitants of the castle. What we need to do is conduct a series of tests to determine the symptoms and how the disease spreads, and then start a vaccination campaign. With swords. You there! Get back here! Your death shall sign the eradication of the pus pandemic once and for all! And now that our work is done, let's see our next patient. The Dragon's Lair Armor. I wish I had something to say about this boss, but to me this is the most standard fight in the game. Some people complain about the pilgrim butterflies shooting at you and messing you up, but in all my attempts, I can never say they really bothered me that much. So while I definitely don't think it is a bad fight, I also don't have all that much to say about it. What I will talk about is something a little more personal, because this guy is essentially the reason why I played this game. I was introduced to the genre by a friend who talked to me at length about these games, and one day they showed me a video of reactions to the Dragon's Lair Armor, and after that I was like, you know what, let me borrow the game and I'll try it out and we'll see how it goes. And the rest is history. Hopefully in these videos I made it clear how important these games are to me, and none of this could have been possible without you. Dragon's Lair Armor, you are my best friend. Before leaving, we always light the bonfire, because you never know how far the next one is gonna... Phew, I'm glad they put this bonfire here. The 15-second journey from the last one was stressful. Next are the Grand Archives. A fine place for a nerd, and one that has nothing wrong with it. I tell you, this thing was put here specifically to piss off me. And I wouldn't go that far if this parasite just stayed still and didn't go under the floor tiles like a cockroach. In fact, the first part of the area is all about following this guy around like a Scooby-Doo villain, all while having to deal with some of the worst enemies in the game and while having our head coated in kebab sauce. We then go through the roofs while being careful of the goddamn gargoyle. And after a reminder of the best Dark Souls 2 boss, we go through the epicness that are the stairs of I'm sick of this shit, get out of my way, I don't have the time to fight sentient beef jerky. And then, at long last, we get to the boss. Hey little prince, you needed to go in the stew like a week ago, so I came to finish something that was long overdue. And I have a frying pan with your name written on it, boy. Brother, another one got through. Huh. Ain't that a big-ass frying pan? Lorien is yet another boss that I heard two sides of. Personally, I'm kind of in the middle, mostly because I never really enjoyed this fight, because I don't know if you could notice, but this piece of charred ass teleports around like a Dragon Ball's character. And after defeating him, Lothric decides to get his ass up and maybe help his brother. Phase 2 is mostly like Phase 1, but this time you have Lothric clinging to Lorien's back like a tick, and in this unholy amalgamation, our objective is to defeat the jockey, because if you defeat the steed, he will just get revived.
Why won't you die?
It's kind of like when in Pokemon you're constantly reviving one Pokemon because it's the only one with a move that can damage the opponent. But in this case it's two siblings. Imagine if this was real life.
Alex, can you remind me what we're doing here?
I already told you, Timmy, we're here to make you grow stronger. Timmy, look! The perfect opponent! A grizzly bear!
I don't think that's a good idea.
Sure it is! Now go and punch that thing in the nose!
Bring it on, you mound of light!
Ooh, that was a crit! Hang on, Timmy. I got you. Healing potion! Not again!
Stop! Is this really necessary?
Of course it is! Don't you remember what I told you? The only way to become stronger is to fight strong creatures and gain a lot of experience points.
Isn't that a video game thing?
Yeah, and potions are too. Now stand back up, stop complaining, and go beat that mound of fur. I might not show it, but I'm actually very proud of this kid. Ooh, there goes his arm. So, we just defeated the heir to the fire that refused to link the flame. The reason all of this is happening. So technically, the only thing left to do is the finale. But before we get to that, we have to go back to the sewers, where we'll need to use a specific gesture and then wait until we die of boredom to then get revived and find ourselves in the Archdragon Peak. This is gonna be fun. Almost immediately after the entrance, we get a boss. The Ancient Wyvern. Oh boy, I sure hope this boss isn't gonna be a monumental waste of my minuscule time on this bitch of an earth. Is this what they mean when they talk about the best boss fight of all time? What do you think? This is not a boss. It's another flush of the toilet. The enemies in the arena are infinitely more threatening than the boss. Hell, the wyverns in Lothric, that are more of an environmental obstacle than an enemy, are way more of a threat than this styrofoam lizard. Then we find a couple of gang fights, some styrofoam, an almost naked man, and an evil knight, which should be interesting. But he's as sharp as a boulder.
Get it? Cause he's Havel the Rock.
What is important is this bell, which will let us channel the spirit of Big Ben. What, you think I'm just saying random things? You're probably right, but then explain why tolling the bell turns the entire area into England. It also unlocks another boss, which I'm convinced was put here as an apology for the sorry excuse we got before, even though a lot of people would rather go without half of it. I'm gonna be a little bit of a contrarian here, but I really don't mind this fight. Yes, the camera makes the game turn into Alcoholic Simulator, but other than that, I'd say it's a pretty nice fight. And with that guy on top of the boss, it's like I'm fighting a real dragon rider. See how easy it was to make one of those, Mr. 2? You don't just get your worst boss doubled and give it to the next area. But after we defeat the dragon, the fight is still far from over, and we witness a scene very similar to another one from a first game. Speaking of which, at some points during Dark Souls 1, they mentioned the nameless first son of Gwyn, who betrayed his father and fought alongside the dragons. Well, our opponent is him, the Nameless King. What can I even say about this boss? It's one of the greatest fights in the series from both a lore and gameplay perspectives. The fight itself is one of the fastest in the game, with the boss leaving barely any room for more than 1 or 2 hits before continuing his barrage. And don't think of this as just a phase 2 after a King of the Storm, because the Nameless King could have easily been a standalone fight with its 2 fully fledged phases. Also, I don't know if I mentioned this in other videos, but there are certain fights that make me take it unintentionally so seriously. The way certain bosses' reputation precedes them makes me lock on like nothing else, and take way less attempts than it normally would. This fight in particular is the one where I perform the best, if I do say so myself. In conclusion, the Nameless King is a legendary boss fight. While the first phase can raise a couple of eyebrows, the second part against just him is the perfect example of the top tier level boss fights that are in this game. Also, it's crazy to me how bosses like this are tucked in a corner in locations that a lot of players would easily miss without a guide. And with that, the base game is pretty much over. Except for one thing. The final boss. We return to Firelink, where we position the cinders of the 4 lords on their thrones, which means one thing and one thing only. Even the Firekeeper knows it. In response, she started to enact her evil scheme. Because we're about to have a party that will put to shame those 25,000 years of whatever the hell we talked about at the beginning. Ludleth, burn that base! Whoa, that's a little too much, but I love the enthusiasm. Let's get this party started! What the hell happened? Andre, you forgot the hollow steak on the grill and incinerated the world again! That party was insane. Insane enough to bring us to the kiln of the first flame, which received an amazing upgrade from the first one. Even though it doesn't have the imposing feel of the original kiln, the way it shows all the convolution around us is simply astonishing. And at the end of this convoluted path, we find him, the final boss, the Soul of Cinder. Wait a minute, he looks mighty familiar. He was right in front of us all along. Looking like a child lost at a supermarket. At first impact, this boss may seem simple. A straight sword wielding knight scorched by the fire of the first flame. And yeah, that's exactly what it is. Until it isn't. The Soul of Cinder is convinced to be a Bloodborne character on drugs and can change its weapon to 4 different forms, all with different movesets and based on one of the 4 offensive stats of the game. They could have easily just made this boss something like a fusion of the Lords of Cinder we fought before, but instead they chose this to be something else. Us. Rogues, knights, sorcerers and clerics, all together here to directly prove our future selves. But this is far from everything this boss gives us. This is just phase 1, at the end of which the Soul of Cinder falls to his knees, only to then get himself back up and grab his sword in a strangely precise way, only to then plunge it into the ground from which a primordial blaze erupts, as if something had just been summoned. And then you hear the music. Those all too familiar 3 notes. At this moment, you're not in the presence of just any Lord of Cinder. You're facing the one that started this unnatural cycle. The first Lord of Cinder. This is Gwyn himself. What can I say other than what a beautiful spectacle and what a way to remind us of his schmoriness. While not being one of the most difficult fights in the game, Soul of Cinder manages to give us so many treats that it just becomes one of the best fights in the game. It's basically the video game equivalent of Pretty Privilege. At this point, all that's left to do is finish the game. Or is it? Since you're religiously watching this video and you're paying very close attention to what's going on and you don't just have it in the background while doing other stuff, you probably noticed that there's a good way to go before we finish this video. And that is the second DLC. The final DLC of the Dark Souls series was released on March 2017, and its name is the Ringed City, which you can access from two spots, a bonfire right before the Lords of Cinder, or one in the back of Frida's arena. And both of them teleport you to a rundown shack. I think I got scammed. What do you have to say, Grandma? I have business with you? And choosing it lets you buy things from her? Imagine doing this in a supermarket. Hey dork, what's with the weird clothes? Do you mean me? This is my work uniform. Well, I didn't ask you that. Do you need help, sir?
Yeah, something like that. You could say I have business with you. How much is this? It's really f***ing cute.
So this is not the Ringed City, but the Drag Heap, which is fitting, because it looks like an open-air landfill with all this convolution around. But one thing that is interesting are these messages found around the place, which when interacted with just say, take the plunge, and show Gale. What is he doing here? And can you tell me how I went through this area without ripping his voluptuous mustache off? Not far from at the beginning of the area, we get an enemy that is great visually, but is also another reason why I don't trust the church. These are angels. Oh, goddammit! These are angels. All they do is appear above key positions and continuously rain heaven upon you. The only way to definitively take them out is to find these grubs who spawn the angels, after which they won't respawn. But the problem is that you have to find these, which is not that smooth considering that the angels are just one of the cake farts on the shit cake. The area is filled with these dusty goblins, there's another poisonous swamp, there's one of the desert pyromancers from Dark Souls 2 that, you know, pretty hot, you get some points for that trash heap. And of course the area is very open by design, so good luck finding a spot where you don't have to go all the other nights with the pumped up rings, better run, outrun my smiting. But here's an overwhelmingly positive news. You can skip basically the entire second half. And Mr. Hat over here will show you how. In the back of the area, after the Earthen Peak bonfire, you'll find this shack, and you'll just need to roll down to the route below. Roll down to the route below and just follow the path which ends directly to the bonfire before the boss. Thank you in advance for your generous $500,000 cash donation. The next boss is someone that I've heard not that much love for, and I don't know why. I think this boss is incredible. First, to enter we need to apply Minecraft logic but with ash instead of water, and at the bottom of the abyss we find the demon in pain and the demon from below. And for a boss duo, their fight is very smartly designed. In order to not have them constantly piled up on each other, the two demons will be in different states that they can switch between. One is an active state where the demon will be aggressive and will stay close to you, while the other is a passive state where it will not move a lot and mostly just spew poison gas from a distance. This makes it so that the battle is not just them dogpiling on you, but at the same time forces you to pay attention to what both demons are doing, which is not difficult thanks to the visual cues for the poison attacks. Once you defeat the second one, the fight will not be over, but the demon will come back up and reignite, turning into the real boss, the Demon Prince. The moveset is not that much different, it's just a more aggressive and powerful version of the active state of phase 1, but one important change is a powerful attack that changes depending on which of the two demons you've defeated second. So this is a genuinely great fight, and an underappreciated one if you ask me. And now it's finally time to get to our real destination. Question is, how do I get there? Is something coming out of the clouds?
Good evening, sir. What's going on?
Please don't hurt me.
What would we do to... Oh, wait a minute. Did you cross those weirdos from the Anor Londo taxi agency or whatever they called?
Yeah?
Oh dear, Gwyn. I'm so sorry. Those are the rejects that we fire but still think they have a job. There's no need to worry, sir. We're just here to bring you down in a normal, well-mannered way.
Okay. After the most polite aerial trip, we finally arrived at the Ringed City. And what an impressive view. Let's go get a closer look. What is this, France? Why am I in the trenches? Okay, we got through that. Maybe the worst is over.
By the fire.
God damn, stop! I'm not gonna lie, I'm kinda scared of continuing. Oh damn, an old woman! Oh. Huh, maybe it's not gonna be as hard as I imagined. I just had to open my big mouth. These are the Ringed Knights, and they're honestly the best looking enemies in this series. Undead knights that bear the dark sigil on their chest and use fiery weapons and the head of the ancient dragons as shields. What more do you need out of an enemy? Oh, I know, maybe not to use me as a punching bag? Do you guys remember Ariandel? A huge looking city that you can't explore half of. Well, the Ring City in some places reminds me of Ariandel, and one in particular. In Ariandel there's a segment that is just a street full of enemies that can easily gank and demolish you. And in the DLC they thought, well, let's do that, about 20 million times worse. The Herald Legion Knights can already be a tough enemy to fight. Now think about fighting them in groups of 3 while having withered goblins shooting lightnings and curses at you. I even had to talk to an NPC while constantly looking at my back like I was walking alone in a dark alley because one of these hole heads can just sneak up on you and
Swiggity swooty, I am coming for the booty.
This single segment is the reason why I always question myself whether or not I should go into this area, and the rest of it doesn't fare much better. There's a giant swamp of black goo full of these depressed locusts. They look more like that robot from Robots. Great name, guys. I wonder why you shut down. We then have to avoid getting roasted by Spyro's weird uncle, only to enter the single most confusing room in the game. I swear on Guinevere's amazing chest ahead, it doesn't matter how many times I play this game, I can never understand where the hell I'm going in here. Or why we get invaded by the Moaning Knight. If you manage to escape that mess, you then find yourself face to face with the dragon, and you have to slap his hands until it falls down the hole. Kinda like when you don't want your kids to grab the candies on the table but they won't listen, so you have to resort to extreme measures. And with that, the exploration is over. And while I'm not a big fan of the level design of this area, the bosses are mostly some of the best this series has to offer. Well, 3 out of 4 at the very least. Half-Light's Spear of the Church is a stain in what would have been a spectacular roster of bosses. It's yet another multiplayer boss like the glass-looking knight. But while that boss was at least fun when playing offline, this reject is just NPC number 27. Also, alongside it there are painting guardians? Huh? What painting are you guarding? This place looks like a Greek museum after some British tourists came through. Moving on, the next boss is hidden away, which is not a good sign. Along this elevator, you need to enter a corridor, then take a left to go through an illusory wall, go down a ladder, and there you'll find the plunge to the boss arena. Speaking of which, people say stuff about the drop in the Elden Ring DLC from a height that will kill you 20 times over, while in Dark Souls 3 you have 2 occasions where you jump down to impossible heights and take no damage, but you also take fall damage from basically walking down the stairs. But what is that we find at the bottom of this pit? Well, none other than the best dragon boss this genre has ever cooked. Dark Eater Midir. First of all, I'm pretty sure this is the biggest non-gimmick boss that we fought so far, and like any other furry or scaly we fought, you can't just hide inside their belly button to avoid half of the attacks. I mean, you can, but every single part of Midir's body takes exceptionally low damage, and the only spot that you can reliably damage him on is his head, meaning that the best way to fight him will be head-on, which is definitely going to be way more dangerous, but also way more rewarding, especially considering that this will let you near the end of the battle to stagger Midir and deal a critical hit for massive damage. There's not much else to say, this fight is plain incredible. There are some attacks that make the camera have an episode, but other than that, this is easily one of the best fights in the entire series. And having said all that, why hide this fight? I would understand if this was Half-Light, anyone's normal reaction to making something like that would be to hide it in the most improbable place possible.
A baby? A monster.
But enough with that chit chat. We are almost at the end of this journey, so let's stop rambling and witness the true ending of Dark Souls. Past Half-Light's arena, we can enter a tower, and inside we find Felinor, Gwyn's youngest daughter, who was definitely named before, didn't just appear. She looks so peaceful and... Ashen One, what are you doing? No, get that and away, stop! Ashen One, don't! What the fuck did you do? Ashen One, there's like 5 different instances of you touching stuff that makes everything go to shit. Stop touching things! Well, might as well see what's outside. Oh, looks like these guys had a lot of fun. Wait just a second. I know that guy.
Hand it over, that thing, your dark soul.
He said the thing! The thing from the plastic square! I'm pretty sure he won't do it again, but if he does, I'm gonna have to use a Dark Souls 2 spell. You know the one. So this guy, Gale, or more precisely, Slave Knight Gale, was the final boss the whole time. And what a battle. It's hard to put into words what makes this battle such a cool ending, not just to this game, but to the entire trilogy. In phase 1, Gale channels his persona and attacks you with wild swings and slashes. The best part about this phase is when you die and re-enter the arena, and after a bit you see him in the distance running towards you on 4 legs like your dog after you come back from work.
Sniff. Bark. Bork. Bork.
After around a third of its health, we get a cutscene. And you know you'll get some good stuff when you see one of those.
Is this the blood? The blood of the dark soul.
Oh my god, he said it again. Fucking... We enter phase 2, and here's where the battle starts for real. Because Gale stops being a furry, stands up, and pulls out a Glock. Immediately he's much more threatening. In addition to everything else, his scarf will now follow with sword attacks, doubling the chances of hitting you and punishing a wrong dodge even more. But this is not even the last of it, because after 2/3 of its health, he will enter a third phase. Wait, what's going on? Oh. Gil, please, no, oh my god, my computer can handle it, stop! I can't say I thought of this myself, but if you look at what's happening, this is just 2 nobodies fighting in the middle of nowhere. And it's the coolest fucking thing ever! There's really nothing else I can say. The battle is intense, the music is just going to town on my brain, so I'd say to just relax and enjoy the spectacle. The music is kinda loud. Can you lower the volume a bit? Mother, I can't even think right now! Gale is one of the bosses with the highest HP individually, and the only one without a weapon or a moment in the battle that lets you take a big chunk of it. So this is usually the longest boss battle in the game. But after a while and a lot of determination, you'll be able to beat him! And doing so will net you the blood of the dark soul. And I can think of someone that can make good use of it. Back in the painting.
My thanks, Ashen One. With this will I paint a world. Please tell me thy name. I would name this painting after thee.
Oh, how sweet. My name give it to a whole new world. A name that shall echo through the ages. Oinky sploinky, I forgot that was my name. And with that, we just literally have to finish the game. Dark Souls 1 has 2 endings, Dark Souls 2 also has 2 endings, but Dark Souls 3 has 4. One that I really like in particular is the linking of the fire, and that's because of the contrast with the same one in the first game. There we were the second to do so, and the first flame reignites and bursts out of us. But here, the flame is weak and barely able to set us aflame, which means that no matter how many or how powerful the next hairs will be, one day fire will eventually fade. And that is also the reason why it's fair to assume that the eventual ending will always be the fire fading. A fitting end, where we let the cycle restart and let this eternal age of fire stop.
Ashen One, hearest thou my voice still?
Ashen One, that's my nose.
Wow, so much time has passed and my hair fell at the exact length and position that I wanted them to. What was I doing? Compared to its older brothers, the Dark Souls 3's gameplay received a well-needed overhaul. The controls are much smoother and responsive, and the overall combat feels much more fluid. And I wanted to talk about this not as a jab to the previous games, but as a compliment to FromSoft's ability to continuously improve their products. Even this game, which I love to pieces, nowadays feels clunkier than it used to. I know it will come as a surprise, but in the past few months I've been frying my brain on Elden Ring. But also I've recently replayed Dark Souls 3, hence some of the clips in this video having a sentient big hat. And I realized that in general, playing a new FromSoft game makes the older ones feel older, which is strange to say, but not a guarantee nowadays, and it speaks volume to the amount of care that is put into improving these games. But to say that it's perfect would of course be naive, because the only reason why Dark Souls 2 is the one people point their finger to when it comes to criticizing enemy placements is only because of other things surrounding it. But in all 3 installments I can name at least one location that are the video game equivalent of a keyboard smash, and the best way to deal with these kind of areas is to treat them like tornado shopping. Just run through, grab whatever you need and get out. I don't care if you need to tackle grandma, I need my cheese. Moving on to something that most probably everyone can agree on, the bosses are the absolute best part of this game. A lot of the battles are some of the easiest S tiers in the series, and even the easier ones have great visuals and or movesets to pull them up in the rankings. Yes, if we look at the whole picture, we do have a side of intestinal product in our 5 Michelin star meal, but everything else is so incredibly delectable that I don't even think about the puke in my mouth. And as always, we have our regularly scheduled boss tier list, which was tougher than I thought it would be to make. Next up is the story, and well, what I said for Dark Souls 1 and 2 applies here. An amazing story told in an even more amazing way. What Dark Souls 3 adds to this praise is how it manages to give a great continuation and an even greater conclusion. And speaking of conclusions, we have to give From Software a congratulatory star for showing something unknown to most AAA studios. Restraint. Now where have I put that thing? Is this it? Oh, wrong one. This one's still mine. No matter how people would feel about it, if they made Dark Souls 4, they would drown themselves in cash. But unlike other studios that milk their IPs until the other falls off only to look for another spot to squeeze, FromSoft decided to pull the plug on Dark Souls to preserve its reputation and avoid making Dark Souls 06. Now let's talk a little bit about the characters, because one thing you may have noticed in this video is the privileged treatment I gave to Sigurd and Henri, even though I barely talk about any characters in the previous games. And that's because, considering the fact that I'm not making a gameplay guide, even though it would be in character for me, if I have nothing interesting to say about a character, I just don't say anything. I can only get so far by going, "This guy called me stupid! This guy called me stupid! This guy called me stupid!" And I mean, look at these two. One is a person you marry, and the other is a guy who decides to non-consensually enter a boss battle and give the single best ending to a character quest. But also it would be unfair to say nothing about the others, especially with some of them being iconic favorites of the community, with one of them more than the others. And that's of course the Bellkeeper. I'm dead! Until now I tried to be objective about everything, but for the next topic, disagreeing with me will result in immediate execution. I'm sorry, I don't make the rules. This also means that now, after almost an hour, I can get the fanboy demons out of my body! The music in this game is positively and absolutely paradisiac. I've already said it near the beginning of the video, but this game's soundtrack I consider to be one of the greatest in video games history. So many times a battle that was just okay gets elevated so much by the spectacular music accompanying it, which also changes depending on the phase, and to me that is probably the best part about having multiple phases. Even the pile of reptile waste that is the Ancient Wyvern gets a great piece, and to be fair, there are some stinkers here too, like the Cursor of the Great Woods theme, which sounds like my brain when I'm studying. But overall, the music is just sublime, and for that we have to thank Yuka Kitamura, who worked on the soundtrack for Dark Souls 2 and Bloodborne, but here she worked as a main composer for the first time. And what an incredible first impression. Also, imagine if Dark Souls 2 had her as the main composer. You're not just fighting any fetus, you are fighting the one and only covetous fetus! One last thing that I want to talk about was the expectations for this game, which I personally couldn't find anything for. I do understand the first 2 games were objectively successful, with Dark Souls 2 even being nominated for Game of the Year back in 2014. What I want to know is, what were people's thoughts about a third title? What was the general opinion of the genre? Did Bloodborne influence any of this? If you were around the community at the time, I would love you to comment and let me know. In conclusion, I'm pretty sure that my opinion of this game already spoiled the final score, but just to officialize it, from me Dark Souls 3 gets a resounding 10 out of 10 for being the best ending to a franchise. Also, a little disclaimer, a 10 out of 10 doesn't mean that I think the game is perfect, but if I had to wait for a perfect game to give a perfect score, I would have time to fossilize. So for this one, I say we close it here. Thank you so much for watching, and most importantly, thank you for being so patient. This video took way too long to make, and I made another video to explain the situation in more detail, but in short, right now I'm in university and I'm the very last stretch. In the past few months, I've been beating myself between studying, spending time making the video, and between all that and other things, this video took way too long to make. And I would love to tell you that the next one is gonna take less, but that's probably not gonna happen. But again, I only have a handful of things left to do with uni, and then I'm gonna be over with it, and I will dedicate myself to the channel, because believe me, I want this to work. And now, even though this video has been long overdue, it's time to end it. So let's pull the plug. Once again, thank you all so much for watching, I really hope you enjoyed, and if you did, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, the other thing about whatever you do. Whatever you do, do not link the fire. If you get Dark Souls 2 too, I will bring hell on earth. Also, be sure to follow me on my TikTok and my newly made Blue Sky account, where you can find news and maybe some original clips. And if you go there you don't find those, don't worry about it. They are gonna be there. For now, they are here, waiting to be birthed. Also, if you want to see more detailed reviews of the game I play on the channel, you can go check me out on AlexBadConnection. You can go check me out on How Long to Beat. And having said all that, remember what a wise man once said. Every soul has its dark. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!
Wait.
Okay, we're done here, and now it's just me and you, baby. Is that still recording?